The alarm screamed through the monitoring station like a dying animal. Lieutenant Marcus Chen dropped his coffee and ran to his console. His hand shook as he read the impossible data scrolling across his screen. "Get Commander Williams," he whispered. Then louder, "Get her now." The beacon signature was unmistakable. ESS Prometheus. But that ship had vanished 247 years ago. Marcus had studied it in academy. Every human child learned about the Prometheus disaster. It was the day humanity's dreams of faster-than-light travel died. Commander Sarah Williams burst through the door, her gray hair wild from sleep. "This better be good, Chen. I was finally—" She stopped. Her face went pale. "That's not possible." "I checked it 17 times, Marcus said. "It's really them." The Prometheus had been humanity's first attempt at jumping beyond light speed. They had installed an experimental drive, loaded the ship with the best scientists and engineers, and sent them toward the stars. Then in the middle of the jump, the ship simply disappeared. No explosion. No debris, just gone. The galactic community, the ancient aliens who called themselves the Concordants, had told humanity the technology was too dangerous. They offered safer methods instead. Slower methods. Methods that kept humans contained to a small corner of space. Sarah stared at the screen. "Where is she coming from?" "That's the weird part." Marcus pointed at the spatial readings. "She's not coming from normal space. There's some kind of wormhole opening. I've never seen anything like it." On the main view screen, space itself began to tear. Reality folded like wet paper, and through the gap, a ship emerged. The Prometheus looked nothing like the images from history books. Her hull was covered in strange patterns that seemed to shift and move. Lights pulsed along her sides in colors that hurt to look at directly. "Scan her," Sarah ordered. The results made no sense. The ship's power readings were off the charts. Her hull was made of materials that didn't match any known element. And strangest of all, the life signs showed a crew of 312 people, the exact same number that had departed 2 centuries ago. Sarah opened a communication channel. "ESS Prometheus, this is monitoring station Delta 7. Please respond." Static filled the speakers. Then a voice came through, clear and strong. "Delta 7, this is Captain Elena Voss of the Prometheus. It's good to hear another human voice. What year is it?" "It's 2347, Captain. You've been gone for 247 years. There was a long pause. "That's not possible. We've only been gone for 3 years. "Well, 3 years for us." Sarah felt her stomach drop. Time dilation was one thing, but this was extreme. "Captain, where have you been?" Before Elena could answer, new signatures appeared on Marcus's screen. "Commander, we have incoming." "Multiple ships. They're concordance vessels. A lot of them. 6 massive alien warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They surrounded the Prometheus in a perfect sphere formation." Sarah recognized the lead ship. It belonged to Ambassador Theln himself, one of the most powerful beings in the Concordance. A new voice filled the communication channel. It sounded like grinding stone in winter wind. "Human vessel Prometheus, you are ordered to power down immediately. You carry forbidden technology. Surrender now and your crew will be spared." On the view screen, Sarah saw the Prometheus's lights pulse brighter. Captain Voss's voice came back harder now. "Ambassador Theln, how convenient that you arrived so quickly. Almost like you were waiting for us." "Your ship carries weapons from the Harbinger civilization," Theln said. "Technology that nearly destroyed the galaxy once before. We cannot allow it to exist." "Weapons?" Elena laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Is that what you told everyone?" "Let me guess, you said the Harbingers were monsters. That their technology was too dangerous for younger species. That you were protecting us all." "Captain Voss, you do not understand what you possess." "Oh, I understand perfectly." Elena's voice dropped to a whisper that somehow felt louder than shouting. "I understand that you've been lying to every species in the galaxy for 100,000 years. The Concordance ships powered their weapons." Energy signatures spiked on Marcus's console. He looked at Sarah with wide eyes. "They're going to fire." "Prometheus, you need to run," Sarah transmitted. "Get out of there now!" "We didn't come back to run," Elena said calmly. "Watch carefully. The Concordance needs to learn that humanity isn't what they think we are." The 6 warships fired simultaneously. Beams of concentrated energy that could vaporize a planet converged on the Prometheus. Marcus closed his eyes. He couldn't watch the ship die, but when he opened them again, the Prometheus was still there. The weapons had passed right through her like shooting at smoke. The ship flickered like a bad hologram, then solidified again. What? Sarah breathed. The Prometheus moved, not with engines or thrusters, but by simply being somewhere else. One moment she was surrounded, the next she was 1,000 kilometers away. Then she was somewhere else again. The concordant ships fired wildly, but they couldn't touch her. Elena's voice came through one last time. Tell Earth we're coming home. Tell them to ignore everything the concordant says. And tell them it's time to remember who we really are. The Prometheus vanished, leaving only the stunned concordance fleet and 2 humans who suddenly understood that everything they'd been taught about their place in the galaxy was a lie. Captain Elena Voss remembered the exact moment everything changed. 3 years ago from her perspective, 247 years ago for everyone else. The experimental drive had hummed with power as her crew prepared for humanity's first faster-than-light jump. Elena had stood on the bridge watching the stars, knowing that success would change everything. Humanity would finally be free to explore the galaxy without relying on concordance permission. Drive charged to 100%, her engineer, James Park, had reported. All systems green. Then let's make history, Elena had said. Engage, the universe had screamed. That was the only way to describe it. Reality itself had torn open around the Prometheus, and the ship had fallen through layers of space that shouldn't exist. They dropped through dimensions like a stone falling through water, deeper and deeper, until finally they stopped. When the shaking ended and the alarms quieted, Elena had looked out at a space that defied understanding. Stars existed in impossible colors, nebulas twisted in patterns that made her eyes hurt. And everywhere, absolutely everywhere, were structures. Captain, James had whispered. What are those? The structures were massive, each one the size of a small moon. They floated in perfect formations, connected by bridges of light that pulsed with energy. And they were old. Elena didn't need instruments to know that. She could feel their age in her bones. They're installations, she had said. Someone built a network down here. But who, and why is it hidden? Her science officer, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, had run scans for 3 days straight. What she found had changed everything Elena thought she knew about humanity. Captain, you need to see this, Yuki had said, her voice shaking. The structures are responding to us. They're sending data and they're using human language. Ancient human language, older than any civilization on Earth. The data had told an impossible story. Humans hadn't evolved on Earth, they were refugees. Long ago, at the galactic core, a great civilization had existed. A civilization of humans and their allies. They had discovered the deep layers of space-time, the hidden dimensions where the rules of reality were different. Where faster-than-light travel wasn't just possible, it was easy. But not everyone had been happy about that discovery. A group of species that served the great civilization had grown powerful and jealous. When the humans and their allies tried to share the knowledge with younger species, these servants had rebelled. They called themselves the Concordants. They claimed that the technology was too dangerous, that it would destroy the galaxy. War had followed. In the end, the humans had lost. But before they were destroyed, they had scattered. Some had fled to distant planets, some had hidden in the deep layers of space, and some had gone to a small blue world at the edge of the galaxy and started over, their memories wiped, their history forgotten. Earth. They're us, Elena had said, staring at the data. We're the descendants of the people who built this network, and the Concordance has been lying to us for our entire existence. But the installations held more than history. They held technology. The device was the most important discovery. It was a small sphere that fit in Elena's hand, but it contained more processing power than every computer on Earth combined. When she touched it, the device connected to her mind. Suddenly she could see. Not with her eyes, but with her thoughts. She could see the different layers of space-time stacked like sheets of paper. She could see the paths between them, the shortcuts that made normal faster-than-light travel look like crawling, and she could navigate them. It only works with human neural patterns, Yuki had explained. It's locked to our genetics. That's why the Concordants could never access this layer of space. They're not human. They can't use the device. Elena had spent 2 years learning to use the device properly. Her crew had modified the Prometheus, integrating the ancient technology with their ship. They had practiced navigating the deep space, learning to phase between dimensions, becoming something new. Then they had voted. All 312 crew members. Should they go back? Should they tell humanity the truth? Or should they stay hidden, knowing the Concordance would hunt them? The vote had been unanimous. They would return. Now, as Elena navigated the Prometheus through impossible angles of space, dodging Concordance patrol ships, she transmitted data packets to every human colony, encrypted, hidden in normal communication traffic. But once decoded, the packets contained everything. The history, the blueprints, the proof. "Captain, we have a problem," James said from his station. "There's a ship following us. Small vessel. Alien, but not Concordance military." Elena checked the sensors. The ship was keeping pace with them, somehow tracking them even when they phased between dimensions. She opened a communication channel. A face appeared on the screen. It belonged to a Kethri, one of the younger species in the galaxy. Her skin was covered in silver scales, and her eyes were bright orange. "Please don't shoot," she said quickly. "My name is Cyrix. I'm an engineer. I've been watching the Concordance for years, and I think they've been lying to my people too." Elena studied her carefully. "How are you tracking us?" Cyrix held up a small device. "I modified my scanner. I've suspected for a long time that there was something the Concordance wasn't telling us about space-time. When you appeared and they called you dangerous, I knew they were hiding something. Let me help you. Please. Whatever truth you're bringing back, my people deserve to know it too." Elena looked at her crew. They nodded. She turned back to Cyrix. "Then follow us to Earth, but be ready. The Concordance isn't going to let us share this information peacefully." Together, the two ships jumped toward humanity's homeworld, carrying a truth that would shatter the galaxy's oldest lies. Earth's moon hung in the black sky like a pearl, and somewhere on its surface sat the Concordance regional headquarters. From there, Ambassador Thelen controlled everything that happened in human space. Every trade route, every colony expansion, every piece of technology humanity was allowed to develop. Elena Voss stood in the bridge of the Prometheus, staring at her homeworld. She had left as a pioneer. She was returning as a revolutionary, receiving multiple transmissions from Earth. Her communications officer reported, some from the government demanding we surrender, some from civilian groups cheering us on, and, "Captain, there are protests. Millions of people in the streets demanding answers." Elena smiled. The data packets had done their job. Humanity was waking up. A priority channel opened. President Martinez appeared on screen, his face tired and worried. "Captain Voss, I'm ordering you to land at the military base in Geneva immediately. We need to contain this situation before it spirals out of control." "Contain it?" Elena kept her voice level. "Mr. President, we've been living in a cage for our entire history. The Concordance has been lying to us. Don't you want to know why?" "What I want is to avoid a war we can't win," Martinez said sharply. "Ambassador Thelen has 200 warships in orbit. If you don't surrender that device, he'll use them. Then let him try." The connection cut off. Immediately, new signatures appeared on sensors. The Concordance fleet was moving into position, surrounding Earth like a steel noose. Elena felt the device warm against her palm. It was showing her something. Possibilities, timelines. The future branching into 1,000 different paths. She saw the path where she surrendered. The device destroyed, humanity remaining in ignorance forever. She saw the path where she fought. Fire raining on Earth, billions dead. And she saw other paths, narrower and more dangerous but possible. "All crew to battle stations," Elena said quietly. "This is it." Ambassador Thelen's voice filled the bridge, deep and ancient. "Captain Voss, I am offering you one final chance. Surrender the Harbinger device and accept exile. Your crew will be mind-wiped and returned to human society. This is more mercy than your ancestors received," Elena laughed. "Harbinger device? Is that really what you're calling it?" "You know what it actually is, Thelen. It's proof that humanity built this network. It's proof that you stole our legacy and lied about it for 100,000 years." "You understand nothing," Thelen said, and for the first time, Elena heard real anger in his voice. The precursors nearly destroyed the galaxy with their arrogance. They gave dangerous technology to species that weren't ready. Civilizations burned. Billions died. We saved the galaxy by taking control. By enslaving it, you mean? By guiding it? By ensuring younger species developed slowly, carefully, without the weapons that could destroy them. And yes, we benefited. We became powerful, but we also kept the peace. Elena felt the device pulse in her hand. It was showing her Theln's ships, their positions, their firing solutions. It was calculating probable futures, showing her how the battle would unfold. You kept yourself in power. There's a difference. The Concordance fleet opened fire. Hundreds of weapons unleashed simultaneously. The sky above Earth lit up with deadly light. Elena closed her eyes and let the device guide her. The Prometheus phased, slipping between dimensions. The weapons passed through empty space. But Elena hadn't come to run. She had come to fight. Using the device, she calculated firing solutions that shouldn't be possible. The Prometheus's conventional weapons hit with perfect accuracy, targeting engine blocks and weapon systems. Not trying to destroy, just disable. One by one, Concordance ships went dark. "Captain, the Earth Defense Fleet is moving," her tactical officer reported. They're not following Concordance orders. They're forming up behind us." Elena felt hope surge in her chest. On Earth, the military had made their choice. They were standing with the Prometheus. But the Concordance had more ships. Many more. They kept coming, wave after wave, and Elena knew the device had limits. She couldn't phase forever. Eventually, she would tire, and when she did, the Concordance would win. Then something strange appeared on sensors. Small ships, dozens of them, dropping out of faster-than-light travel. They weren't human designs. Elena recognized Kethri vessels, Vorn fighters, even some Trell cruisers. All younger species, all supposedly Concordance allies. Cyrix's face appeared on screen, grinning widely. "Told you my people deserve the truth. Turns out lots of species feel the same way. We've been sharing your data packets. Everyone's been lied to, not just humans. We're done being children." The battle became chaos. Concordance ships found themselves fighting not just humans, but a coalition of younger species all demanding answers. Ambassador Thelon's voice cut through the noise, cold with fury. "You are making a terrible mistake. All of you." "Maybe," Elena said. "But it's our mistake to make." Then space itself shuddered. Elena felt it through the device, a massive disturbance in the deep layers. Something was coming. Something enormous. The device showed her calculations that made no sense. Energy readings that exceeded anything in recorded history. A structure emerged from deep space. It was massive, larger than Earth's moon, made of the same strange materials as the installations Elena had found. Lights pulsed across its surface in patterns that looked almost like writing. All weapons fire stopped. Everyone, human and alien alike, stared at the impossible structure. It hung in space above Earth, ancient and terrible and beautiful. Elena touched the device, and suddenly she understood. This was an archive, a vault built by the precursors, by ancient humanity, to preserve their knowledge. It had been waiting for someone to find the device, waiting for someone to activate it, waiting for someone worthy to reclaim the inheritance. Ambassador Thelon's voice came through, quiet now, and for the first time afraid. "You don't know what you've done. You don't know what that thing contains." Elena smiled. "Then I guess we're about to find out." The archive opened like a flower. Panels larger than cities peeled back, revealing a core that glowed with soft blue light. The device in Elena's hand grew warm, then hot, then connected to something vast and ancient. Information poured into her mind. Not just data, but memories. The memories of a civilization that had spanned the galaxy. She saw cities of light floating between stars. She saw species working together, sharing knowledge freely. She saw humans, her ancestors, standing at the center of it all, not as rulers, but as teachers. And she saw how it ended. "Captain?" James's voice seemed to come from very far away. "Are you okay?" Elena opened her eyes. Tears ran down her cheeks. "I saw them. I saw who we used to be." She looked at her crew. "We were explorers, scientists. We discovered the deep layers of space, and we thought it was a gift for everyone. We wanted to share it." On the main view screen, Ambassador Thelon's face appeared. He looked older somehow, more tired. "So now you know. Your ancestors were fools who nearly destroyed everything." "Were they?" Elena wiped her eyes. "The archive is showing me the full history, Thelon. Not your version. The real one." She activated the main display, projecting what the archive was showing her. Images appeared in the air above Earth, visible to every ship in orbit. The history of the precursor civilization played out like a movie. The concordant species had been helpers once. Administrators. Organizers. They were good at managing things. at keeping systems running smoothly. The precursor humans had valued them, relied on them, but when humanity discovered the deep layers of space, the Concordants had seen something else. An opportunity. You convinced us the technology was dangerous, Elena said softly. You showed us examples of civilizations that had destroyed themselves with advanced weapons. And you were right. Some species did misuse the knowledge. But instead of helping them, teaching them, you used their failures as an excuse. The images showed Concordance leaders meeting in secret, making plans, slowly taking control of communication networks, trade routes, military forces. When the precursors finally realized what was happening, it was too late. You orchestrated a war, Elena said. You turned species against each other. You made sure the precursors looked like tyrants who wanted to control everyone. And when they fled or died, you took everything they built and claimed you were saving the galaxy. Thelon's face remained cold. We brought order. We brought peace. For 100,000 years, civilizations have grown under our guidance. No apocalyptic wars. No planets burned to ash. Can your precious ancestors claim the same? Elena felt the device pulse. It was showing her something else now. A choice. The archive held the complete knowledge of the precursor civilization. Advanced technology, weapons, power beyond imagination. The device was asking her what she wanted to do with it. She could claim it all for humanity. Make humans the dominant species in the galaxy. The archive would obey her commands. She could download weapons technology that would make the Concordance fleet look like toys. She could have revenge for 100,000 years of lies, or she could share it. Give every species the same access. Let everyone advance together, without the Concordance controlling who got what knowledge. It would be chaotic. Some species would misuse the technology. Some would probably destroy themselves. But they would be free. Captain, Dr. Tanaka said quietly, the archive is waiting for your command. Whatever you choose, it will obey. Elena looked at Earth spinning slowly below. She thought about all the humans throughout history who had dreamed of the stars, who had wondered if they were alone, who had accepted the Concordance's lies because they had no reason to doubt them. I'm not going to claim the archive for humanity, she said finally. That's not who we are. That's not who we're supposed to be. She touched the device and sent her command. The archive's defenses dropped. Its knowledge base opened. And most importantly, its access codes broadcast across the entire galaxy. What have you done? Thelon whispered. I've given everyone the same choice our ancestors wanted to give, Elena said. Learn, grow, make your own mistakes and your own successes. The archive belongs to everyone now, including the Concordance species if you want it. Alarms blared across every Concordance ship. Their control systems were receiving new data, technological specifications, scientific theories, the complete map of the deep layer networks, everything the Concordance had spent 100,000 years hiding. But the archive gave one more gift. Defense systems activated across the galaxy. Ancient installations that had been sleeping for millennia woke up. They weren't attacking anyone. They were just there, making it impossible for any single species to destroy the archive sites by force. You've doomed us all, Thelon said, but his voice was shaking. Without guidance, without control, civilizations will destroy themselves. The burning will come again. Maybe, Elena admitted, but it will be our choice. Every species' choice, not yours. Syrinx's face appeared on screen alongside a dozen other younger species representatives. Captain Voss, on behalf of the Kethri people, thank you. We've been waiting for someone to break the Concordance's control. Now we finally have a chance to determine our own future. More voices joined in, species from across the galaxy, all speaking at once, all thanking humanity for the gift of freedom. It was overwhelming. Elena felt tears in her eyes again, but she also saw Thelon's face. The old ambassador looked defeated, but there was something else in his expression. A hint of relief, maybe, or maybe just exhaustion from carrying a lie for so long. Ambassador, Elena said quietly, this doesn't have to be the end of the Concordance. You could help us, actually help us, not control us. Your species has experience managing galactic civilization. That knowledge is valuable. But you have to share power now. You have to accept that younger species aren't children anymore. Thelon was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. You are offering us a place in your new order? After everything we have done? I'm offering everyone a place, Elena said. That's the point. No more rulers. No more servants. Just equals working together. The ambassador's face disappeared from the screen. Elena didn't know if he would accept, but she had done what she came to do. The truth was out. The archive was open, and humanity had proven something important. When given ultimate power, they had chosen to share it. That, Elena thought, was something worth coming home for. 6 months after the archive opened, Elena Voss stood in the observation deck of the Prometheus and watched the galaxy change. Earth's orbit was crowded now. Ships from 100 different species came and went constantly, all seeking access to the archive, all wanting to learn. Some came peacefully. Others argued and fought over what technology should be developed first. It was messy and chaotic and beautiful. "Captain, we have another situation," James said, walking up beside her. His voice was tired but amused. "The Vorn delegation is fighting with the Kethri engineers again. Something about proper safety protocols for deep space navigation." Elena sighed. "Tell them I'll mediate in an hour again." She smiled despite her exhaustion. "You know, I used to think coming back would be the hard part. Turns out running the aftermath is much more complicated." The archive sites across the galaxy had activated simultaneously, just as Elena had intended, but with that activation came problems. Some species tried to claim entire archive sites for themselves. Some downloaded weapons technology and immediately started threatening their neighbors. Some, overwhelmed by the flood of information, simply shut down and refused to engage. And some had destroyed themselves. 3 civilizations so far had rushed into using technology they didn't understand. Their planets were gone now, turned to ash by their own weapons. Each time it happened, Elena felt the weight of those deaths. Had Theln been right? Had she doomed the galaxy by giving everyone freedom? "You're thinking about the Miroth again," James said quietly. Elena nodded. The Miroth had been the first to die. They had downloaded weapons technology and immediately used it against their neighboring species. The neighbors had fought back using newly acquired archive tech. Both civilizations had burned in the resulting war. "I could have prevented it," Elena said. "I could have kept control of the archive. Released technology slowly, carefully, the way the Concordance did, and become exactly what we fought against." James finished. "Captain, you made the right choice. We can't protect people from themselves. All we can do is give them the chance to be better." A new ship appeared on sensors. Elena recognized it immediately. Concordance design, but smaller than their usual warships. A diplomatic vessel. The communication request came through a moment later. Ambassador Theln's face appeared. He looked different than the last time Elena had seen him. Smaller somehow. More human despite his alien features. "Captain Voss, I request permission to dock." Elena raised an eyebrow. "You're asking permission now? That's new." "Many things are new," Theln said, and there might have been a hint of humor in his voice. "May I come aboard? I have a proposal." 20 minutes later, Theln stood in the Prometheus's conference room. He was accompanied by Syrinx and representatives from a dozen younger species. They all looked nervous. Even Theln, who had once commanded hundreds of warships, seemed uncertain. "Captain," Theln began, "6 months ago you offered the Concordance a place in your new order. I rejected that offer. I believed you were destroying everything we had built, and now?" Elena asked. "Now I see that perhaps control was not the same as guidance. Perhaps we forgot the difference." Theln took a deep breath. 3 more species destroyed themselves this week. The Vorten used archive weapons on their own people during a civil war. The Delics tried to modify their genetics with precursor technology and created a plague that killed billions, and the Xerath simply couldn't handle the knowledge that their entire history had been manipulated by us. Their civilization collapsed into chaos. Elena felt sick. "I know. I've been tracking it. The younger species have asked me to speak on their behalf." Theln continued. He gestured to Syrinx and the others. "They want to propose a new concordance. Not one that rules, but one that advises. Species who have experience with advanced technology helping those who are just beginning. Voluntary, transparent, democratic." Syrinx stepped forward. "We don't want to lose more civilizations, but we also don't want to go back to being controlled. We need a middle path. Someone to help us, not command us. And you think the old concordant species can do that?" Elena asked skeptically. "After everything they did?" "Who better?" Syrinx said. "They have 100,000 years of experience managing galactic civilization. They know what mistakes to avoid because they've seen them before. Yes, they lied and controlled us, but they also prevented apocalyptic wars. We need that wisdom. We just need it to come with honesty this time. Elena looked at Theln. And you agree to this? To having your power limited? To being equals instead of rulers? Theln was quiet for a long moment. My species has been rulers for so long, we forgot what it was like to be anything else. But I have been watching you, Captain. Watching humanity. You were given ultimate power 6 months ago. The Archive would have obeyed any command you gave. You could have made humans the dominant species in the galaxy. That's not who we are, Elena said. Precisely, Theln said. You chose partnership over domination. You chose truth over control. And when species destroyed themselves with the knowledge you gave them, you mourned them instead of saying, I told you so. That is what leadership should look like. That is what we should have been for the past 100,000 years. He bowed his head. I cannot undo the past. My species cannot take back the lies we told or the freedom we stole, but we can try to be better going forward. If you will allow it, Elena looked at her crew. James nodded. Dr. Tanaka smiled. They had talked about this possibility. Hoped for it even. All right, Elena said. Here's what we're going to do. We form a new Galactic Council. Every species gets representation. Equal representation. The old concordant species can serve as advisors, sharing their experience, but they don't get to make decisions for everyone else. Agreed? Theln nodded slowly. Agreed. And all archive sites remain open to everyone. No restrictions, no control. If a species wants to access dangerous technology, we can advise against it, but we can't stop them. They have to be free to make their own choices, even bad ones. That will lead to more deaths, Theln said quietly. I know, Elena said, and her voice was heavy. But the alternative is going back to the cage, and humanity is done living in cages. If other species want freedom, they have to accept the responsibility that comes with it. Over the next few weeks, the new Galactic Council formed. It was messy and loud and inefficient. Species argued constantly. Proposals got shot down. Compromises were reached and then immediately broken. But it was real. It was democratic, and it was theirs. 3 years later, Elena stood in the same observation deck watching the galaxy again. The chaos had calmed somewhat. Some species had advanced rapidly with archive technology. Others had chosen to move slowly, carefully developing over decades. And yes, more civilizations had destroyed themselves. Each death hurt, but more had survived. More had thrived. Syrinx joined her, carrying 2 cups of something that smelled like coffee but probably wasn't. Thinking deep thoughts again, Captain? Elena smiled. Just wondering if we did the right thing. We're alive. We're free. We're learning and growing and making our own mistakes. Syrinx handed her the cup. What more could anyone ask for? Peace. Safety. Knowing that we won't wake up tomorrow to news of another species destroying itself. Those things have to be earned, Syrinx said. They can't be forced. The old concordance tried force for 100,000 years. It kept things stable, but it kept them small. Now we're growing. Yes, it's dangerous. Yes, some of us won't make it. But the ones who do will be stronger than we could ever have been under concordance control. Elena sipped her drink. It was terrible. She smiled anyway. When did you become wise? I learned from humans, Syrinx said with a grin. You're very good teachers. The device hummed in Elena's pocket. She had kept it, though the archive had offered to make copies for other species. Some things, she felt, should remain unique. The device showed her the future sometimes, not certain futures, just possibilities. And what she saw gave her hope. She saw civilizations rising, species working together, the galaxy slowly becoming what the precursors had wanted it to be, a community of equals, learning and growing together. It wouldn't be perfect. There would be wars. There would be failures. But there would also be triumphs. And humanity would be there, not as rulers but as partners, as teachers who were still learning themselves, as explorers who had found their way home and then helped others find their own paths. That, Elena thought, was what it really meant to be human, not to dominate the galaxy, not to control it, but to give everyone the chance to be free, even if freedom was dangerous, even if freedom sometimes hurt. The Prometheus's engines hummed. They were heading out again tomorrow, exploring new archive sites, meeting new species, helping where they could. The ship that had vanished 250 years ago was now humanity's representative to the galaxy, a symbol of what could be accomplished when you refused to give up, when you chose partnership over power. Elena looked out at the stars and smiled. They were finally free. All of them. And that made all the chaos, all the danger, all the struggle worth it. That was the real victory, not the return of the Prometheus, not the opening of the archives, but the simple fact that when humanity was given a choice between being rulers and being friends, they chose friendship. And in doing so, they showed the galaxy what it meant to be truly strong.